Now, Hezekiah is in disbelief and dismay from hearing this news. Yet instead of giving up and accepting his fate, he turns to the wall, kneels down, and prays, asking God to remember his devotion, all the good things that he has done in the world, and praying not only for himself, but more importantly, for the place that he calls home. Now, I don't know about you all, but even as I stand in this physical pulpit, I still struggle to have the faith in the action this king so easily possessed. Now, I have called Park Hill United Methodist Church my home for the past 21 years. The place on which I stand is one that I never thought that I would be a part of. As a young child, I walked down these halls following along a father who was a part of the Board of Trustees and a mother who was in the United Methodist Women. I lived, slept, and breathed this church home 6 days a week. I was here so often that I mistakenly joined bell choir for 2 weeks because my mother had no place to put me on Thursdays. But like Hezekiah, I have been blessed with this kingdom, a kingdom, and a place that I call home that is not only protected by God, but lifted up by God. Amen. And the number one lesson that I took with me from this community after every Sunday, and one that I will take with me on the way to Boston University School of Theology, is allowing myself the freedom to cry and to pray. For you see, for me to get on this pulpit myself, I had to find my own freedom. At the age of 19, my mother became deathly ill. I went from being a carefree college student to taking care of a parent in a time span of 3 months. My faith and joy was shaken beyond belief. I lost all trust in the Almighty. However, the memory of this church home, this place, brought me back to my faith. And the story of Hezekiah brought me back into my physical path towards ministry. Now, because the Almighty does not forsake but reinstates every passion and dream and joy that not only I have, but that you all have as well. That a man like the prophet Isaiah can come into your life and give you a death sentence, but when you choose to turn to freedom of prayer, then your passion will be your turnaround. Yes. I was recently reading one of those feel-good stories in the Denver Post. The article is about a couple who took care of a duck during a snowstorm. Now, according to the article, this hurt animal in the middle of a blizzard was able to cry out even with a clipped beak and a broken wing. Just by chance, a resident at Children's Hospital had heard the duck's prayers and came out to take care of it. Brought the duck back home and fed it a diet of kale chips and water. Very Colorado thing to do. And was gratefully released back into the wild following the storm. Now, I want to remind everyone in this room that this was a wild animal that allowed these people to do this. It allowed itself to cry out and had the freedom to trust and was released back into the wild with the faith of depending on strangers. Now, I know that someone in this church home today is in need of a trust for the same type of turnaround. Yes. And I'm here to tell you that a turnaround is coming right around the corner because the bread of life that is Jesus Christ is on all of your sides. Yes. You all here today at the very least made a choice to see a first-time preacher. And you all here have experienced the prophet Isaiah, who has told you that death is coming around the horizons. Whether that be death of love, death of finances, pain, fear. Well, the reason why I was brought here today, Park Hill United Methodist Church, is to remind you that you all have the power of prayer. Yes. To remind you that God listens. That when you weep, God is standing by your side, and when you allow yourself the freedom of prayer, that there's a turnaround coming in all of your lives. Yes. So recently I've been working on a political campaign. Now I won't tell you for whom, but I will say that through my experience, I have felt a push and pull on my faith that I could not possibly imagine. I'm pulled because in our society today, we are allowing grown men and women to act not just towards the kingdom of God. Grown people shouting insults back and forth has become my norm.
Yes.
And like many of you in this room, I can too feel the shift of volatility that is in the political atmosphere, not only around us, but throughout the nation.
Yes.
So my day-to-day task in this political field is that of a field organizer. My main goal is to knock on doors and get out the vote. One day when I was on my 100th door, I accidentally went up to a house that was not a fan of my candidate. Before I could even get out the words to speak, I was being yelled at in such a way and words that are not appropriate for these church walls to repeat. I had a moment where I had to walk to the side and began to weep. But before I could even think to just give up, I remembered the story of Hezekiah. And I remember the church home that I am a part of, and I sat down to pray. Before I could even finish my amen moment, the same woman who had just yelled at me 10 minutes before began walking her dog. She immediately saw me, knelt down next to me, and asked for forgiveness. A woman who had just yelled at me 10 minutes prior was asking for my forgiveness. Now, if that is not a sign of a turnaround, then I do not know what is. Where you see Park Hill. A turnaround is when you allow yourself to pause and give yourself up to the freedom of prayer. A freedom that Jesus calls out in Luke 22:42. The Son of God himself asked for the freedom and submission, saying, Father, if you are willing, take this cup from me. Yet not my will, but yours be done. In this passage, we meet Jesus on the night of the Last Supper. He has already spoken to Peter and prayed for Simon. In this moment, we see a Jesus alone and willing. Again, he prays, take this cup from me, yet not my will, but your God be done. Jesus asked for the freedom of submitting to God. Just as Hezekiah wept, we see an image of Jesus so nervous. He is crying and sweating in anguish. And what I'm asking for you all today is to be like Jesus, to accept that crying and anguish, to sweat in your prayer. See, because the prayer freedom towards our own personal turnaround caused even men like the King Hezekiah to weep bitterly. Yet, once you all allow yourself the submission, it will be your greatest blessing. Because now you all are allowing for your own salvation. You are saying goodbye to fear and welcoming in a love that has been with you all your entire lives. Because just like Hezekiah or Jesus, when you allow yourself to take a breath and break free, you are walking all towards your own destiny. A destiny that brings joy in the moment. A destiny that allows yourself to push through. And the only thing that you all have to be willing to do is to let God in. Let me repeat myself. I said to let God in. Because we all have to let God do the work. Because that is what God is here for. Thank you all so much, and may you all